Eve was also spotted with matching rings to Amber, so there's a ton of speculation that they got married.
Could it be true? Are Amber Heard and Eve Barlow really married? And did they get married in Australia? Well, from all indications, it looks like they could really be married, and the reason behind their marriage will shock you. Speculation about Amber and Eve's relationship started growing in August of 2022 when they were both caught together dining in Israel at a Tel Aviv cafe. Apparently, Amber had vacationed to Israel to be with Eve, her #1 supporter, after getting kicked out of the Hamptons. But it seems like there was more to this story than we had originally thought. Fans curious to know how the supposedly broke Amber Heard, who had filed for bankruptcy, could even afford to vacation in Israel. It also looked like she might have been running to Israel to escape the law. Apparently, Israel is a haven for people trying to avoid punishment because they do not enforce U.S. court verdicts. So if you take your assets there, you can avoid turning them over for a judgment. This bit of information pieced the puzzle together and explained why Amber was becoming so close to Eve, who also happens to be Jewish and a Zionist. According to a source, the pair had become inseparable after the defamation case.
Notes of hair. What else could it be? It's like apple ties. Like tango apple.
And had been spending time together along with Amber's new baby, Ona. They were even spotted pushing an empty stroller around together. But it doesn't end there. It seems like Amber was making plans to convert to Judaism, which would allow her to apply for citizenship without necessarily getting married, but she would still need someone to claim her assets, which is where Eve comes in. The hiccup to this plan was that Israel doesn't authorize same-sex marriages, and you won't believe what Amber did to combat this. An anonymous tipster came out with claims that they had seen Amber and Eve getting married in Australia. The user texted, "Oh my god, I can't believe I am saying this, but I think I saw Amber Heard in Australia getting married on the beach. It was so weird. We were walking our dogs in Bondi when we saw the ceremony. It was 2 women. I swear up and down it was Amber and her girlfriend." Well, it does look like the pair, and the rumors could be true, especially since the photo Eve posted of herself with the caption, "I'm down under," confirms that she was in Australia at the same time as Amber and when this picture was taken, which couldn't have been a coincidence, right? Some fans are doubting the validity of the picture, saying that "I'm from Sydney and there's no way this wedding photo is Amber and Eve." In order to build the ramp right on the beach, you would need the Sydney Council to approve the application. In the photo, you can see the branches of a tree, and at Bondi, there aren't any trees right on the beach. If Amber was in Sydney, I guarantee the paparazzi would be there. It seems like the little vacation we all thought Amber and Eve went on was more than just a vacation, and aside from secretly getting married to avoid paying Johnny, it looks like she was not only planning to convert to Judaism, but also permanently move to Israel. An insider revealed that Amber plans on never going back to the USA. Not only is she virtually unknown in Israel, but she's actually converting to Judaism to gain Israeli citizenship. Rumor is she actually got married to Eve Barlow in a secret wedding to help with this process. Amber will do anything to permanently reside there so she can avoid paying Johnny back, but the story doesn't seem to be adding up. We all already know about Amber's history with the Australian government and the perjury she committed against them. So how could she possibly be courageous enough to get married in a country that's after her? In 2015, Amber ran into some problems with the Australian government. She had been faced with criminal proceedings for illegally bringing her 2 Yorkshire Terriers into the country on a private jet. Apparently, her and Johnny had traveled to Australia because he was filming for Pirates of the Caribbean 5. They had flown in with their private jet without quarantining their dogs, fully aware of how particular the country was regarding their animals, food, and agricultural importation, but still choosing to break their strict quarantine and biosecurity laws. The law required her to begin the approval process 6 months prior to her visit and follow proper steps, including several visits to a vet in the United States and a 10-day quarantine for the 2 puppies in Australia. She blatantly refused to do this and even went as far as falsifying their travel documents. But that wasn't the end of it. Despite the case being closed in April 2016 and Amber being charged with 2 counts of illegally importing the animals, pleading guilty to falsifying travel documents, and being fined almost $10,000, it was revived again after it was discovered that Amber had been fully aware of the laws and even pushed to have them covered up. Apparently, in 2020, during Johnny's libel case against the Sun, his former estate manager, Kevin Murphy, told London's High Court in a written statement that he warned Amber about Australia's strict regulations, policies, procedures, and entry rules when bringing animals into the country, but she pushed him to lie about the situation after she was charged for illegally importing the 2 dogs. He had testified saying that I also explained to Miss Heard several times the fact that trying to take the dogs into Australia without completing the mandatory process was illegal and could result in very harsh penalties, including euthanizing the dogs. He continued, alleging that Amber had threatened him and ordered him to provide false testimony regarding the matter. When I expressed that I was extremely uncomfortable comfortable with this, Miss Heard said to me, "Well, I want your help on this. I wouldn't want you to have a problem with your job." It became very apparent that Miss Heard was threatening my job stability unless I cooperated with providing a declaration that supported her false account for the Australian proceedings. He went on to say that because of this, I felt extreme pressure to cooperate, despite knowing this would involve being untruthful. And in October 2021, it was exclusively revealed by DailyMail.com that Australian officials were investigating Amber for perjury over claims that she lied to authorities, and the Australian Department of Agriculture, Water, and the Environment confirmed that the case is still ongoing. If she's found guilty of perjury, Amber could be looking at 14 years in jail, while the other offense can result in a 7-year stretch under the Queensland Penal Code. It's unlikely the Australian government would try to have Heard extradited. At least that was how it was when she wasn't in Australia. But now that she has re-entered the country, things aren't certain. And going to Australia to get married, it seems like a rather bold move. A commenter had said that the chances of Amber coming into the country without making some noise were low. According to them, when I heard they were here in Australia, I put the question out, and it seems it was all false, and no one thinks Bondi Beach wouldn't let a structure be put up like this without a license and prior notice. So it is highly doubted, and surely the Australian government would have had a security alert at immigration if she came into the country. The press would have been all over it. The marriage license would not be legal. The paperwork would be too intense for a quick wedding. So that is what I found out. All balderdash. And apart from the issue concerning perjury, it was also in Australia that the finger-severing incident occurred. And according to some sources, Johnny and the rest of the people who were involved protected Amber. Johnny had even called a doctor to treat him instead of going to the hospital because, according to the law in Australia, if he had gone to the hospital, the staff would have been forced to report the issue to the police, and Amber would have been immediately arrested for assault. With all this history, you'd think Australia would be the last place to go to for a wedding ceremony. But it makes sense if you consider the fact that Amber would want to hide her assets. With the way things have been going, and regardless of her claim, Amber seems to be far from broke. Think about the $22,500 a month Virginia mansion she stayed in during the trial and all her financial supporters, like Elon Musk and whoever funded the trust she used to pay for her desert house. As someone with so much to lose and trying to outrun the law, Amber seems desperate to do anything to achieve her goal. And it appeared that Eve herself had a lot to say about the situation, even accidentally exposing Amber to being involved in PR stunts and even jokingly mentioning that Amber might want to kill herself.
You hope that people understand that you have a human heart and a soul and that you have your own life. And what I'm finding so difficult to digest at the moment is this kind of loose awareness I have in the few moments I have between dealing with legal or dealing with PR or dealing with just helping Amber not feel like she wants to kill herself.
So much for the #1 supporter. And you know that fans didn't hesitate to share their thoughts on the story, with some saying that there's no way Australia would allow Amber Heard into the country without her facing some sort of legal repercussion. Someone had responded that to those who thought it was weird that Australia let Amber back into the country, having personally had a problem at a border crossing, I can say that getting into a country you've offended in some way isn't necessarily a problem, but getting back out might be. According to another user, apparently Johnny had something but $61 million missing during his marriage to Amber, and she is suspected of stealing her. I'd say she's got a lot of money stashed around, and her last-ditch attempt at jabbing Johnny in the side is simply not paying him even though she has the money, because too many questions would come up about how she was able to pay and then live if she wasn't working after that. Many are saying that there's no way Amber would ever marry Eve. Amber would never marry down, and marrying Eve Barlow would be the lowest she'd be looking for someone with lots of money. Plus, would never enter Australia, which the person spreading this claim is where the supposed wedding took place. While the rest are genuinely surprised at how she has gotten away with so much, I'm amazed at just how much she's been getting away with and nothing is done about it. If it were you, me, or someone else, perhaps even Johnny Depp, then we would all have been locked up a long time ago. Yet here she is doing what she's been doing, causing more problems for JD. But what do you think? Do you believe that they are actually married? Do you think she'll get arrested by the Australian authorities now that she's in their country? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you think this video was scandalous, wait till you see this next one.